Hello, and welcome once again to the Far From Normal Radio Show. I'm your host, Jay Moss, and as always, I have my brother, Mr. Bud Vino.
Yo, and my brother from another mother, Jay Money Moss, June 12th, 2018, baby. J12, as you know, is my lucky number, so I know the show is going to be amazing. As always, the power forward, Neely Petrie, joining us. Neely, how are you this fine Tuesday?
I am doing wonderful. How are you guys doing?
Amazing.
Fantastic. It looks like we had a little bit of problems coming on, but it kind of did finally click over. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues, but it happens, and it looks like it rolls. Obviously, our new song going forward, if you looked at the video, obviously you did not see Jessie Weiner. Unfortunately, Jessie has decided to pursue other avenues. We wish her the best of luck, and we thank her for all of her time on the program. But I'm going to go ahead and roll to you on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Jessie, we just celebrated her 1 year here, and I know she had a lot of followers, and she's helped a tremendous amount of people, and we've definitely benefited from having her on the show in terms of information and empowering people. And she's on to other things, and she's going to help even more people in the future, Jay, and I appreciate her time here. I know we both do. We all do.
Awesome stuff here. So I want to say, number one, we originally had here Mr. Bob White, who was going to come on. If he does actually click in here, we'll get him on very, very, very shortly. Obviously, there's going to be a whole lot of different changes coming from the Far From Normal Radio Show. You're going to be seeing, hopefully, very, very soon, you're going to be seeing a website being built for the Far From Normal Radio Show. We're already in negotiations trying to get that buckled down, and that's going to be I'm very excited about this because, I mean, when we started this show, but I mean, really, we thought we were just going to be two guys doing this for the fun of it, and somebody listens in, that's great.
Well, we still definitely do it partially for the fun of it. We definitely enjoy it, and I said there's no one else I would want to roll with other than you, Jay, and I said it from day one. We both did, and we're still having a boatload of fun. And I know this is a great opportunity for Neely to step up. She's excited about it. I know that, and we're excited about it. Pete's going to be coming back soon, and we're really excited and comfortable with the family up here and who we're going to roll with in the future. The Four Musketeers, right? So, yeah, absolutely, Jay.
Yeah, and definitely, as you can see behind you, we have and will continue to work in correlation with Kirk's Law Corner because they're doing amazing stuff. I know they pumped our show last night. We'll definitely give them a big shout out because they're doing amazing stuff behind the scenes, obviously with John Gentry doing all of that paperwork, Chris Howlett. So all of that kind of and all of that paperwork back there behind.
Well, Jay, I said two huge numbers on their show last night, and their viewership is increasing, and for good reason. A great group of guys. I've talked to Chris more than any of them personally, and he's a very funny guy and a genuine guy, and they all just wear it out there and try to do the right thing, and they're doing that, and they're affecting people in a very positive way, including myself. I know I enjoy it, the banter, and I think we all grow together. We're kind of running parallel in terms of Kirk's Law Corner. I think we're all learning this together. So behind the scenes, kind of watching each other, the successes, and really get a kick out of it. Really saying, well, these people are doing the right thing, and there's flavors out there for everybody, Jay. There's always somebody out there that someone can relate to. So hats off to those guys. Awesome numbers, awesome information, empowering, and thanks again, guys. As Jay said, for the shout out. Jay, can I say something before we continue?
Absolutely.
My wife, bless her, okay, as you guys know, I said behind the scenes, she went out to get Chinese food for us. And I love her, but she got home as we were going live, and she's so sweet. But as the opening was coming, she handed me the plate, and literally I'm literally, Jay, I'm sitting here with this. I said, and I can't do anything about it. So as Pete said, he had Chinese too, so thank you to my wife. I'm going through a bit of torture right now, but it smells really good. And behind the scenes, if you see me mute, I'll probably be jamming food in my face, Jay. So thank you to my beautiful wife. And Pete had Chinese too, as I said. So it's a Chinese food kind of night. So there's my torture. If you see me looking down, Jay, I'm going to fake that I'm looking at notes or something. But right now, I'm absolutely hyper-focused.
Yeah,
I'm having fun doing it.
I hope you don't come back on the microphone and try to speak, and he goes, meow.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that, yeah. Or I said to Allie, though, I said, I'm 43 years old, Jay, and as we talk behind the scenes, I can't eat like I used to. You know, I have to be careful. I said, this is because I got to be careful. I eat something, I could have to mute out my camera, you know, and be running around. I'm an old man now. My system doesn't handle things the way it used to.
Yeah, exactly. And Neely, I know you're working close. Like we said, you're working close with Kirk's Law Corner. Some of the things that they've got coming out. Refresh me on, because there is a website, and I think it is We the People V50.
Yep, that is correct.
We the People V50.com, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Register your email. You will be one of the plaintiffs in this lawsuit that we've got going forward. So there is a private group. You can get invited to that. If you want to get invited to that, please send a message over to Neely Petrie. We'll get you in contact with John Gentry and everything, and get you involved in what's going on behind the scenes with that, because it's going to be major.
Absolutely, Jay.
Neely, I know that you're in depth in working with him and researching on this stuff. You have some stuff to say on that one?
I'm really excited about everything that is going on and how much everyone is doing. We're all just joining forces, and it makes me really happy to see that. So again, if you don't know John Gentry and want to get connected with him and are interested in getting involved with We the People versus the 50 states, just PM me a message and I will get you into that group. And the website is wethepeoplev50.com. And again, you can register your email with the site, and we're keeping track of those emails. So when the case is being worked on, so it's going to be a little bit of time, and but we will have your email to get in touch with you to add you as a co-plaintiff.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, and Jay, you know, I see it's all about working together. We say it all the time, and I see Wendy Perry, say hello to Wendy out there. She puts a lot lately. Hi, Wendy. She puts a lot on the Far From Normal page, and she's doing great things with Dr. Childress out there. I know that. I've seen some pictures and posts recently, and Mark Ludwig out there is still continuing to make noise, and everybody. And what I'm seeing a lot more of, Jay, is that sort of unity and just kind of leaving the rest in the dust and really empowering each other. And that, again, we look at that again. We do a show, but that doesn't mean we can't still get empowered. That doesn't mean we can't still watch Kirk's show and, wow, you know, we don't know everything either. So, you know, and that's a different style over there. So it's really great. Again, there's different flavors for everybody. And it's wonderful to see everybody coming together. I mentioned Wendy and Mark and everybody else, and just seeing everybody excited because changes are happening. They're not just coming there. We're in the middle of them. And bigger and better ones are coming in the future, Jay, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited as well. I know that there's also going to be a tour. I don't have the dates personally, but there is going to be a Capitals for Kids tour that's going to be happening across the United States. I know Denver, Colorado is one of them. I know Springfield, Illinois is definitely another one. I will be at the Springfield, Illinois, come hell or high water. I will be there. I'll be bringing my Far From Normal radio show cards and making conversation and making sure that if you're there at that event and you've got a great story that's empowering, we're going to try and in the future basically get you on the show. That's the biggest important part. If your story is empowering, and let me get this right, because I talked to Bud and Pete before the show on this one, because I always have those people who get with me and say, I've got this story. Okay, what's your story? And then they never get back to me. And then I say, okay, well, I have a story too. Once upon a time, there were 3 little bears, and it just goes on from there. I mean, honestly, it really is. You gotta, if you have a story, let me know what that story is. And it needs to be a story that is not just, okay, it's down in the dumps. I mean, that's, everybody goes through that. What took you to the point to where now you are empowered and you are starting to do things for yourself and for other people? That's the empowering stories that we bring on the radio each and every single week. You'll hear one of those later tonight. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, Jay.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about the guy. He's a class act, Christopher Emmanuel, great guy. And those are the stories that we're going to touch on. So that's not every radio station does that. Not every show does that. But those are the things that we talk about, and how we complement Kirk's Law Corner really is we stay necessarily on the surface of everything across the board. We stay on that surface and go all the way across the board, parental alienation, domestic violence, and all the different issues that go on within the movement with CPS. And then Kirk's Law Corner comes in and gives you a great, refreshing way of diving deep within the law under that surface. And so they do an amazing job. I think we complement each other great. We've had great conversations behind the scenes and helping each other out, and it's going to continue. That's a great relationship that we've got. So all of those that are working out there in conjunction with each other, we absolutely applaud you. I know that it starts in several different areas. We're very proud to have several different ones on board with us, and we will continue to reach out to different groups and have them be sponsors. As you saw earlier, when we play our normal, our Far From Home opening video, you see all of the different people that sponsor us behind the scenes. That's to work in conjunction with everybody. It's what we are trying to do behind the scenes. It was, again, picked up phenomenally in DC. It will continue to be picked up. And what this is doing for the movement now is all of these different groups, all of these different people working together. Now suddenly we're a strong voice that that the judiciary has to take seriously.
Exactly, Jay.
You
make them have to listen, right, Jay? You make the noise so loud and so consistent that you don't give them a choice. And again, we mentioned Kirk's Law Corner. It was great having. I didn't know John Gentry as well, but what a great guy. Getting to know him. And again, you mentioned our guest that we have on, Mr. Emmanuel, coming on, and what a story. Jay doesn't always do this, but he thought, guys, I implore you guys to go in and friend him he's a great man. Excited to have him on. We don't always become friends with guests necessarily, but this is one. Jay said it would behoove you guys to go in and check all this out, and we did, and we're excited. We're going to continue to do that. And I'd be remiss, Jay, if I didn't mention that I know Pete has been working tirelessly. You mentioned Pete behind the scenes, and he's chomping at the bit. I don't know if Pete has any fingers even left. Fingertips chomping his nails. He's so excited to get back. And there was just so much positive energy in the past couple of days in terms of how we were going to go on and Neely's growth and seeing her grow and all of us, and how it's going to continue to empower people out there. And that's what it's all about. We see things in the comments where people are really digging it, and they're relating. I think that's what it is. As I said earlier, at some level, people can relate, whether they can relate to me or they can relate to you, Jay, or, as we mentioned, Kirk's Law Corner again. That's what it's about. And if people can relate to and see that you went through some similar experiences, not everybody's experience is the same, obviously they're all different. But if they, wait a minute, that's kind of like mine, and I'm down in the dumps, and he was saying that's where he was years ago, or she was, and now look how the tables turn. As they say, Jay, them tables, they always turn. So you just got to keep being patient, keep working hard, keep studying, be assertive, and continue to educate yourself, and that's empowerment there too. So, and keep growing it, and never take no for an answer if you know the answer should be yes, Jay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this just in. Oh, our buddy Pete McNeil is missing from the Far From Home radio show.
Oh, yeah.
We're offering a reward if you've seen him, and we'll bring him on very, very shortly as soon as we can get in contact with him. So,
Neely, Neely, can you see his eyes under that hood? Jay took it away. Can you see his eyes? He looks ready. he looks like he's mad at us, Jay, because he hasn't been on. He's so chomped at the bit that the aggression and energy is. He's got to release it somewhere, and he's our brother, so he can release it on us. We love him. It's very benevolent. Mm-hmm. Look, here we go.
And
wonderful, Jay. Yeah.
Some tech difficulties.
So there he is. Obviously,
hey guys,
Bob White. Bob, how are you doing this evening?
I am great. Can you guys see and hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, I apologize for being late. I'm down here in Palm Beach County at a function, a birthday celebration for our president Donald Trump, and they were running way behind. So I apologize, but thanks for having me on.
Mr. White, Bud Vino here. Neely is the newest, so we'll blame her off the air. Thank you for taking the time out, and good job on that birthday celebration. We all don't generally always get political here in terms of affiliations, but Jay, as I said earlier to Neely too, there's no denying today was a great day in history. So happy birthday to the president, and enjoy your celebration down there, sir. Again, thank you for taking the time out. Okay?
It's my pleasure.
Yes, definitely. And Bob White, you are the gubernatorial candidate out there for Florida. And I think this is imperative, obviously, because we have had, in the movement, we have had a bill in the past or several bills that have come before for shared parenting in the state of Florida. And fortunately, those were not signed, unfortunately. And when we have these different issues come across the state of Florida, and some of the concerns behind those as far as parental rights, some of the issues with ECF and CPS that are going on, and the corruption behind the scenes, in the entitlements of Title 4D, obviously from the Social Security Act, that kind of affects all of that. Do you feel as if the states receiving that incentive is what is behind and driven behind in making some of these decisions that are biased in a courtroom?
That's a great question. I don't fully understand all of the ramifications of that. I'll be quite honest with you up front. I will tell you this: the two fit parents bill here in Florida that the current governor vetoed, I would have signed. I lived through that about 24 years ago. I had to fight for custody of my children, and it was a very long and drawn out process. It lasted about 3 years. It was very difficult. I ultimately did, though, win 100% shared residential custody, and so was able to make sure that I had that right. I ended up losing a business in the process, but that's okay. I still consider that to have been the best decision that I ever made in my life, was to fight that fight. So when it comes to issues of parental alienation, when it comes to two fit parents, when it comes to father's rights, I'm right there in the thick of that, and will always be there.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because we haven't had that in the past. And obviously when you're dealing with some of the issues that you're coming across with some of the politicians, is there a possibility that maybe some of these Title 4D funds, or those who receive the Title 4D funds, are giving campaign contributions in which to affect those decisions possibly?
Oh, I'm quite sure of it. We've got a serious issue of the way campaigns are financed here in Florida. That's one of the issues that I'm running on, is campaign finance reform. In Florida, the law says that $3,000 is the maximum amount of money that I can accept as a contribution into my campaign account. But then the law also allows that if I wanted to, I could start a political committee with a separate bank account. And in that separate bank account, I could accept unlimited contributions from every special interest imaginable. And my opponents are doing exactly that. They're taking in 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure contributions from special interests that they would be expected to regulate once they were elected. It's like they've got a big for sale to the highest bidder sign slapped across the doors to the governor's office. I'm not doing that. I'm going to live or die by what I can raise in my campaign account. It's that simple, because that's an important issue to me, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. So it wouldn't surprise me a bit if if those folks are making those kinds of contributions.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me as well. And I know that when we're dealing with a lot of these different things, I think it has to do with the tie-in of those campaign contributions. It has to do with the Title 4D benefits that the states are receiving. Now, are you aware of that Title 4D and the Title 4D funds that they receive going to pay for the state's welfare system?
I'm not, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right. And that's some of the things that definitely I'll get with you off camera and kind of explain some of those things. And it's really a situation to where, Bob, say for instance, your fight that you've had for your kids and you're paying in child support. Let's say, for instance, and I think we may have, there we go. I think, like, say for instance, your fight and you've paid into child support, and what ends up happening with this is the Title 4D funds up to $5. And I believe right now, a lot of these states on the national average are $5.33. So when that happens, up to $5.33 is matched, given to the states. The states pay the welfare and they pay court officials, unfortunately, to make the same biased decisions. And going through some of these things with you, I mean, it seems very apparent that the bias really isn't necessarily a bias. It's a situation to where we're making these decisions because we have to, because I want to send my little, the judge is saying, because I want to send Bobby, Tommy, and Mikey off to Oxford, Harvard, and Yale, while your kids don't get to do that because you don't have the funds to be able to do it because you had to pay child support.
Right.
And unfortunately, when we're going through some of these issues as well, when you're talking about parental alienation, why do you think that a lot of these states, I don't know if Florida happens to be one of those, why do you think a lot of the states do not have laws specifically related to parental alienation in place?
I think it's cultural, and I think it's institutional. I think it's just been that way for so long. And I think it's also, I hate to keep bringing everything back to the money, but really it's the money that drives the agenda. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you have this situation where you have these large corporations that are making these $1 million contributions, you can always count on their needs making it onto the agenda. So if there's not a deep pocketed, so often what happens in Florida, if the cause that you're referring to, if there's not a deep pocketed supporter out there that's able to pour millions of dollars into the campaign war chests of all these various politicians, then the likelihood that their cause gets on the agenda in the first place is pretty remote. So I think that's a big part of it. There's just never been anyone out there with the resources to be able to drive that agenda. Right.
And so when we say resources to drive that agenda, sometimes really it's just the intestinal fortitude to say, hey, look, I know this is corruption and I'm going to shut it down, and have the resources behind you to be able to do that and accomplish that, rather than feeling like you have to, be as a governor, be a vigilante for, or a Robin Hood to help some of these people out, obviously.
Well, yes and no. I mean, quite frankly, one of the reasons that I refuse to have a political committee is that I refuse to be a hypocrite about right. These issues that are so important and these causes that I care about. And I can remember it was 24 years ago, and I'm not up on all of the details, the issues as specifically as you're talking about them, because it did happen to me a long time ago. But I'm getting up to speed on these issues as I go through the course of this campaign. And I make the commitment to you that I will continue to do that throughout the rest of this campaign. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected governor, I will make sure that this is an issue that will have my attention, and that I'll be a consensus builder on behalf of these issues.
Awesome. And I think that's great. Yeah, obviously.
That's what I was going to ask. How would you hold the special interest groups accountable? Because they're keeping dark money, off their campaign finance reports. So how would you do that?
Well, that's a great question. But here's the thing. Running a campaign against the political establishment and running my campaign against the dark money and against the committees, the political committees, If I get elected, it will be because we have created this groundswell of support for these issues. So then I come into Tallahassee as a newly elected governor, having run on this platform, and it puts me in a position to be able to say to the leadership within the legislature, look, fellas, the people out there have had enough, and I'm evidence of that. So we have got to get meaningful campaign finance reform accomplished so that we don't have dark money issues anymore in Florida, so that we do have accountability and transparency when it comes to how these campaigns are financed. So just getting elected in the first place will give me a leg up on being able to hold everybody accountable.
Right. I think you're exactly right, because when the people speak, that's when we know that there's a change that needs to be made, obviously, because when political people come across or candidates for office come across and they say, okay, I want to change this, I want to change that, and I want to change everything from sun up to sundown on how this is going to work, it doesn't really make any difference. When the people are stepping behind that person, that makes all the difference, so that you can go in and you can say, hey, look, it's pretty obvious out there that people want us, excuse me for using the term, but draining the swamp, so to speak, because it is the swamp of corruption that's going on, especially within the state of Florida. And I blame that mostly on the current governor right there, Rick Scott. The ball drops really with who is in charge, correct?
Well, it's interesting. 4 years ago, we identified this whole issue as one that's important to the organization that I chair. I'm the chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida. Mm-hmm. And so I've been going back and forth to Tallahassee for 7 years now, working on legislation that our group supports or opposes. And we began to identify this as a problem. This is one of the reasons that, that we were having trouble getting our bills heard, getting our bills passed, and watching other bad bills get passed. So we recognized that this was a huge problem, and we started a coalition. It's called the Come Clean Florida Coalition, and we have a website. It's called comecleanflorida.org, and I would encourage all of the listeners, especially those living in the state of Florida, to visit that website, comecleanflorida.org, because I've got a ton of information on that website that explains this whole issue of dark money and campaign finance reform. So that's absolutely critical that people get educated on this. And I will tell you that I've traveled the state extensively and talked about this issue extensively, and it resonates everywhere I go. And whether I win or lose on August the 28th, which is the date of the Republican primary, this issue will survive, and we will keep on driving this issue until we get the kinds of representation that we need in Tallahassee, which is restoring the voice of the people of Florida.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Well, I know I have a good feeling the 28th is my youngest son's birthday, so I have a pretty good feeling in August that I have a good feeling about you, sir.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things to celebrate. And that's what it's about, really bringing it up, as we said earlier, Jay, heat on the issue. And again, as the future, hopefully for him and the people, it sounds like Governor is saying, too, once he can get in there, he can make some noise and actually try to implement some of these ideas that we're talking about. And I think where there's thousands and thousands, Jay, of people coming out of the woodwork and becoming empowered to actually speak out against alienation and speaking up and speaking out, to have somebody, a voice, finally, is refreshing to people. I think it's a wonderful thing. So good luck to you, sir. I'm looking forward to the 28th for you.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, let me just also encourage everyone. My own website for the campaign is bob4florida.com, and that's the word for, not the number. So Bob, F-O-R, Florida.com. You can find my platform there. You can also follow me on Facebook at Bob White for Florida Governor. And that would be very beneficial as well. And also, not just for me, but for people that want to find out about the campaign.
That's amazing.
Well, sir, we will make sure that Neely puts down those websites, your site, and the other sites you talked about earlier. We'll put them right on the Far From Normal site after the show is done, so people will have that resource, be able to click right on there and get right to your site, sir.
Definitely. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, obviously, for coming on in your time. I know it's very few and far between you get an opportunity to come on a show or do some of these things. You're trying to do those locally, so doing it nationally across the board, I think is going to get you some notoriety as well. We get a good amount of people who do listen to it, to the show, and it's obviously going to bring them some comfort knowing that we would have somebody in Florida in the gubernatorial office who has been through this, who's been through the fire.
Yes,
absolutely. And again, I want to apologize for my tardiness. I was supposed to join you guys right at 8:00. I'm sorry that I was a little late. And I've enjoyed the show very much. And, if you want to have me back on, I'll be happy to come back on. Maybe I'll come back on as the governor of Florida. That would be great, right?
There we go, sir. Yeah, and I want to say, too, sir, as Jay said, we know you're busy and your time's limited. Thank you. But I will say thanks for having the guts to speak up even about some of these issues that other politicians don't have the intestinal fortitude to even speak about. So thank you for doing that. That in and of itself shows me a lot. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you.
It's one of the reasons I decided to run in this race, was to talk about issues nobody else wanted to talk about. Guys, thanks again for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Sir. Good luck.
Okay.
Awesome guys here. Bob White in the state of Florida, class act guy coming on the Far From Mobile radio show, talking about the gubernatorial race. He is a candidate out there. Give him some consideration when you vote. Obviously, any political candidate, we don't tie in with any specific.
Yeah, we even make up our own words on
we make up our own words.
Neely, write that down. That is priceless. Go, Jay. That was great.
Yeah. All right.
Write that down.
So if we come up with one of these candidates, we don't endorse just Republicans. We don't endorse just Democrats. We don't endorse just Libertarians. We endorse anybody who's gone through the system, willing to talk about it, and is willing to go out there and make a change. So if you're one of those political candidates and you'd like to come on the Far From Mobile radio show, send us a line at the Far From Mobile radio show at gmail.com. We would love to have you on.
Jay, that's a really great point, because I think, even listeners might, we don't get into political affiliations, because we want anyone who's doing things that are positive, because people, believe it or not, Neely and I and Jay and I and Pete and I, some of our views are different, but we respect each other's views and we learn from each other. And that's what it's about. Republican, Democrat, pink, green, blue, purple. It doesn't matter. It's about positive action and making a positive change. So again, as Jay said, we implore anybody out there, and we thank our guest that was on. That's great. I hope he does make some noise on the 28th. That'd be great. And anybody else out there that wants to reach out. We do not discriminate based on affiliations in that way. Again, positivity, that's what it's about, Jay.
That's exactly right. And I know that we'll have Christopher Emmanuel come on here in just a little bit, but obviously we've got other things that are going on as well. And right now, someone is actually at the hospital, one of our good friends, and it's for a very, very good reason. And we'll maybe announce that here a little bit later. Hopefully we'll have a little, we'll see.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, when you see us, Neely's doing a ton behind the scenes as she's on, and so is Jay. And Neely, I got to say, you're doing fantastic. This is Neely's first show where she's she's in the fire. She's in the fire, and she's handling it wonderfully, and we're easing her in. She's doing great, and I'm excited about the whole show, Jay. First guest was awesome. Second guest is going to be just as awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love the reception, the response that we're already getting. So my point to that was, we're doing a lot of different things at the same time. I give Jay a lot of credit too, because some of us have like 2 phones going and a computer and everything else. And Neely's got that whole stack behind her too. Look at that. Looking very, very professional. Look at her there. Looking absolutely. And I see we still have that blank screen down on my screen. And soon enough, Jay, soon enough,
yes,
we're going to have Pete, the real deal McNeil, back. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm just so excited, Jay.
Yes, I'm excited for him to come back too, and it's going to be very, very fitting. It's going to be the band's all back together again kind of situation. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to happen sooner than later. But in the meantime, we're getting mentioned in a whole lot of courtrooms, and quite frankly, I'm very happy about that, because look, if you are so worried about the Far From Mobile radio show, be a part of the change. Be a part of the change, because if you're not part of the change, then we'll make you famous one way or the other.
What was that actually from, Jay? Was that from the Tombstone was on the other night. Is that from Tombstone?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's Wyatt Earp. I'll make you famous. If one of our listeners can tell us, that's going to bug me. But yeah, absolutely. We'll make. Yeah. We always say, Jay, any press is good press. If they want to mention us, our ears can ring, and we can get that warm, fuzzy feeling that we always got. We've been getting for almost 2 years, Jay. And I say, well, Jay, I'm getting a feeling. And we usually get reached out to by somebody. And a lot of times lately, it's been Pete.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good.
So those people down there in New Jersey courtroom, hi, how you doing? Nice to see you guys. And those people out in there in Sampson County, North Carolina, hi, how you doing? We'll definitely reach out to a lot of people down there, and North Carolina's got a big following for the Fathers' Rights movement. They've got a big following out there for even for women's rights out there, for custody issues. North Carolina, South Carolina, and a guy that's coming in here will be from South Carolina here in just a few minutes, who's doing amazing work down there, because there's some of the issues that we'll get into have to do with much more in depth than some of the things we've done in the past. It's not just custody situations. It's not just CPS situations. Some of these things are into a situation where a child is put up for adoption when one of the parents didn't know anything about it. So, and we'll get into that because there is actually a registry for that. I know that he wants to create a national registry, so we're going to get into that quite a bit here during the second hour. And he's going to do an amazing job. He's already doing an amazing job out there. He's been at so many speaking events coming up. So great guy behind the scenes too. Just a class act. So I was glad to kind of meet him just slightly in DC, and actually Pete got to meet him a little bit more than I did and talk with him. So we're excited about having him on. I mean, just a great guy. But definitely
Absolutely.
Bob White, amazing in the first hour. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we've had so many guests on too, Jay, that we've made. I mean, even just last week, Eddie, and I won't even try his last name. Of course, it's Eddie with the last name, but Mejias. Okay, yes. Yeah. Somebody like Eddie interacting. People, guests we've had on Claudia, even with our comedy show. I've had, even just privately, hey, sending our Family Guy thing. It's these sort of connections that you make that empower you. People that are moving that, as we said earlier, that positive direction. And it's about network.
Exactly.
So don't be so afraid to reach out and get to know someone, because that's what it's about. Someone out there.
Right.
Someone out there is going to reach out. There's going to be some connection that you make, that where it all comes together. We say it all the time, Jay. Later in life, you start to not fight things as much in terms of going with the flow, going with what works, as opposed to always bucking what doesn't. We always try and do that, right, instead of going with what we're good at and what works. So we're doing that here. And again, as you said, our guest that's coming on, he's been doing a lot of positive, amazing things. Right. Really, as you said, superstar, man. Yeah.
And I wanted to get into a little bit, because I know that we're going to be creating the website very, very shortly. We'll have merchandise that'll be out there. We'll try and tie that in. One of the great people out there, Jesse West Sr. With Dad's Can Too. There's going to be a picnic coming up. I think we'll announce that during the halftime part. There's going to be a picnic to kind of get together, discuss things that they're going to do in the community. Another great group out there called Dad's Can Too. Got one of the wristbands right here. Dad's Can Too. Amazing.
I'm jealous. I'm going to have to get, I have an affinity for wristwear. So I'll have to get a couple of those babies.
Yes, and those are out there. If you go out to the website for Dad's Can Too, they do wristbands out there. Illinois Fathers for Equality do some amazing ones out there too. There is gear that you can wear, and we're going to market specifically a little bit differently. And how we're going to kind of do that is we're going to make up some T-shirts and T-shirt designs specifically for kids. We're going to market for the kids because of the fact that we're going to market, and it's going to say, my dad or my mom is far from normal. And I think that way we can have them wear those home, and they can show them to their other parents. What's this far from normal thing?
I love it.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah, Jay, I love it. Don't you guys? And I'll say, and I know Neely, because she gets an influx too, and Jay and Pete, I will say, and we say it a lot, but I just want to, I think it never hurts to say it, because we get an influx, and I'm very flattered and humbled. I know Neely and Jay and Pete are too, with the friend requests. And we get a lot of people that write stories, and some are very long, and we appreciate that either way. My point is, don't think you're being ignored, even if it's a couple of days. We all get to them, very much in order, and unless we see a bunch of emergency sort of things there. But the point is, everybody is important, and you're not being ignored. So keep reaching out. I implore everybody, keep sharing your stories. Again, we're going to help you out the best that we possibly can. And there are so many people out there doing that. So for the desperate people out there, keep at it. Keep at it.
And people can start, raising awareness too. If you've been a victim, don't be down in the dirt anymore. Rise above and say, you know what? Even if it's the smallest little start, about maybe call your local library and, set up a meeting. Even if you got 2 people there, there's going to be people walking in and out of the library, be out there, just little things to spread awareness to what's going on, because, that's what we need to do. And I think Bob White made a very good point. There's so many people, like, it's a cultural thing and it's been going on for so long. But everybody now that are running for, positions, have dealt with, family court issues.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Neely, you brought up a good point too, in terms of starting small. And I thought when we first start to get back in shape and work out, right, you would start off maybe, 20, 30 sit-ups, just a little bit. You get yourself empowered. Same way, even if you meet with one other person, you can relate. As Neely said, you never know who might walk into that library. And there's no coincidences in this life, folks.
Nope.
Again, stay positive. And as Neely said, even if it's just you getting out, taking a shower, taking care of yourself, making yourself happy, doing yourself up, starting to research, because again, with education comes empowerment. If you're not, it's just like with anything you do. A lot of people that don't like sports, right? Oh, well, I don't understand it. Of course you don't like it. I don't really like a lot of water polo games, mainly because I don't know what the hell's going on. I like them throwing the ball around, but I lose interest quick. It's the same way. Stay dedicated. It's like a diet. Stay positive. Keep putting that good food, right? That good energy into your body. Because if you're putting nothing in but shit, that's what you're going to get out. And a really upset stomach in the morning, believe me. You don't want to do that.
Right. And you got to really turn a lot of these things on its ear, on its axis, so to speak. The things that I've learned how to do since being in this movement, from people like Bud Fino, people like Randy Davis, Neil Shelton, and Thomas Fiddler, what I've learned to do over time is to take the negative things and twist them back into positive. If somebody tells you can't do something, use that as motivation to show them, heck yes, I can, and here it is.
Right, and also Jay, I'm sorry, we hear a lot too when because the more we get into that, right, where people buck that, they say no. Mm-hmm. Well, it's your personal choice. You want to live shitty, or you want to live happy. It's a total personal choice. So again, it's completely up to you. Say it can't be done. I say, yeah, you're right. Okay, with that attitude, you're right. See you later. Have a good one. Because the next person, the next person in line is going to be hungry. The next person in line I see is going to be chomping for that heavyweight championship belt, and they'll do anything to get it. Mm-hmm. And that's what, again, you got to show some drive. Everything, things change in an instant too, guys, right? I mean, I could be right on here right now, and you could see me slump, and I could die of a heart attack. And I'm being very legit here. You don't know. So, and I saw a video today too, guys. We have one life. Literally, we have one. And it's amazing that we have that life. Don't waste it on anybody else, or worrying about anybody else, or what if nothing jumped, because you don't get a do-over. Who knows on what level we pay, right? Who knows, whatever you believe. But my point is, go for it. This is it. This is it. You have one chance. You get that chance at that heavyweight championship. You're in the ring. Keep swinging until you can't swing anymore. I mean that proverbially, Jay, in terms of whatever you're doing, do it the best. Do not quit until you can look in the mirror, Jay, and that's what it's about.
Right. And that's exactly right. Yeah, definitely, Neely. And I know that you've had a lot of motivational factors going on, obviously, you know, and I say the same thing. When I went to DC for this whole thing, I made a whole lot of contacts, and I think that's what it is. It's building the contacts up when you go out there and you just talk to one person. That's one contact. Okay, that leads to 2 contacts because they have a friend. Okay, and then it leads to 3 or 4 or 5. Building those contacts up. Okay, let's say I don't know about ADA. I don't know anything about Americans with Disabilities Act, right? And so I made friends with Janine Eldrenkamp, and she's got these people, and I've got this so that I can go back. It's all about networking, and you got to actually be able to do that there in Tennessee this week. How was that for you?
It was awesome. There were tons of speakers. It was just it was held at the local library, one of the local libraries in Nashville. We had Connie Reguli there, who's an attorney. I met another attorney that lives in Boston, Massachusetts. She was touched. She was just in tears. And she is a victim of her father is a victim of elder abuse, but they did it to her because she was a truth speaker in court, and they didn't like that.
Right.
And she was touched. She was just listening, and she was like, oh my God, I've met my new family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought I was alone, you know? And like, she's been fighting, I think it was like for 7 years. So that's a prime example of you make it to one of these events. One, you might meet somebody and it might change your life forever. And you have to keep on fighting. If you are a victim of family court corruption in any way, shape, or form, or you were denied any of your rights that we are guaranteed in the Constitution, fight for it, you know, keep on fighting. And you know, you apparently went through it for a reason. Use that, turn it around, and fight 100,000 times harder to show somebody. Sometimes so many people are so quick to say, well, it's, you know, so and so, you know, well, you know, or not, or the whole entire system. There's so many things in play here. There's so many factors. And it's not just, you know, legislation. It's not just the judges, you know, there's so many things. So it's just very important to get connected so you can network and start learning new things and opening your mind up to what's happened to you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know when I went to DC, this right here, those are all cards. Those are all contacts that I made in DC. All contacts. And when each card, you're probably talking at least 100 people. So those are all great contacts when you go to some of these events. So if you get an opportunity to go to an event in your area, when we talk about these events coming up, it does not matter. And I'm going to repeat this. It does not matter if you are part of that group or not. Go and support them, because all of us working together is going to change this system. If we don't all work together, it's not going to happen. Okay. So the deal is support them, make contacts. It's very important. You might be part of a different group than what they are right now. Okay. But that doesn't mean tomorrow that this group may dissolve or do something different or go in a different direction than what you want to go in. This gives you another opportunity. Everything is about making new opportunities for you in this movement and the connections and getting all of those things in line. And we wanted to touch on that a lot tonight because I think it's very important because we've had a lot of these issues going on with, oh, this is a man thing, or, oh, this is a woman thing. No, this is a child thing. Absolutely. You need to get that right. This is about the children first and foremost, and then we can go from there on your personal case. Each personal case is a little bit different. Each personal case could be a lot different. But in the end, they all have the primary same story, and that is alienating and violating your constitutional rights. So we'll get into some of those things here in a little bit. Obviously, we're going to get here already into the second hour. Just
wow.
Flew by.
Wow, Jay.
Some of these things. Yes.
Time flies when you're having fun, Jay. Again, yeah, before we go on, excuse my harsh language, but as that meme says, put up a fucking fight for what you love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, I reference a lot of times, Jay, the Rocky movies. As you know, Rocky Balboa says in 2006, Rocky Balboa, at some point, there came a time where you let someone stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. It wasn't always like that. And so as Neely says, go out, network. As Jay says, get empowered, get educated. Go watch things like Kirk's Law Corner, Far From Normal, and different shows. People ask me all the time, hey, bud, what do you think about me starting a show? What's stopping you? Do it. Do it. Do it. The more the merrier, because, again, someone might be able to relate to you. And, again, that could start an entire chain of events that defeats this serpent, this beast. So, again, I implore people, go on. If you do it and you quote-unquote fail, oh, well, you do it again. You start again. You keep going. There are no such thing as regrets in this life, Jay and Neely. Only experiences that make us or break us. How are you going to live? How bad do you want it?
That's exactly right. And we're going to lead here right into the second hour real quick here with Neely taking over very, very shortly, doing the birthdays and anniversaries. So I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick, and she'll be right in with that.
Everybody, please get your calendar out to mark your calendar for the events. Tomorrow, Wednesday, June 13th, we have the Let's Rally for North Carolina Kids event starting at 8 a.m. The address is 16 West Jones Street, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27601. Please see the North Carolina for Shared Parenting page on Facebook for more details. Thursday, June the 14th. We have the Kansas Grandparent Rally starting at 2 p.m. The address is Southwest 8 and Southwest Van Buren, Topeka, Kansas, at the Kansas State Capitol. Please see Becky Wire for more details. Friday, June the 15th, we have the 5th Annual Human Rights Rally in Sacramento, California, starting at 11 a.m. at the California State Capitol. The address is 1315 10th Street, Sacramento, California, 95814. Please see the California Fathers' Rights Movement group on Facebook for more details. Sunday, June the 17th, we have the Father's Day Demonstration 2018. This event is for exiled parents for justice and starts at 9 a.m. at the U.S. Capitol West Lawn in Washington, D.C. Please see Mark Young or the Exiled Parents for Justice Facebook page for more details about this event. Saturday, June the 23rd, we have the Dad's Can Too Annual Appreciation Picnic starting at 12 p.m. This event will be held at Center Park in Springfield, Illinois. The address to this event is 255 Long Bay Drive. Please see Jesse West Sr. or visit the Dad's Can Too Facebook page for more details. Thursday, June the 28th, we have the March for Families' Rights, Martinez, California. This event is being held for parents against CPS corruption and starts at 11 a.m. at Waterfront Park. The address is 245 North Court Street, Martinez, California, 94553. Please see the PAC Facebook page for more details. Birthdays today, we have George McDermott, Denise Murray, Katie Christopher, Trina Eltledge, June Parker, Angela Zombie. Wednesday, we have Karen Caldwell, Jeffrey Montague, Nicole Sazalon. Thursday, we have Michael Montoro, Lynette Beavers, Missy Chaplin, Barbara Hansen, Kristen Shanahan, Melanie Curtis, Christy Shirk, Lisa Langton, Carolina Arelis, Ann Hope, Victoria Lucera. We also have a very special birthday on Thursday. To remember, it is Donald John Trump's birthday. So please make sure you tweet our president, tell him Friday, the 15th, we have Bambi Hazen, Carlos Costa, Lyra Kimball, Rolla Vanquez, Carl Roberts, Jesse Bolana, Vicky Nadua, Sandra Morris, Stuart Young, Brandon Hendricks, Danny McDaniel. Saturday, the 16th, Jenny French, Kelly Hertzberner, Brittany Ritchie, Dee Elkins, Tony Tonkin, Matt Davenport, Scott Adams. Sunday, we have Carrie Speedman, Tony Knightley, Carrie Bull, Trish Bald, Tree Bean, Han Kloss. Monday, we have Kenneth Robinson, Hoyle Douglas, and Amy Miller. The Far From Normal radio show is copywritten, and copying or transmission of the broadcast of the show is strictly prohibited without express written consent of the Far From Normal radio show staff and board of directors.
Awesome job. And we always give that to one of our newest people. It's kind of our initiation process.
Yo, Jay.
She did a great job.
She did. First of all, yo. June 12th, 2018. Neely. A nearly flawless job. And I was thinking, Jay, because Jay just mentioned how we usually have the newest people do the birthdays. He kind of lucked out. So I'll say this. Neely, don't worry. When he comes back on, we're going to throw him back in the fire, too. Make him do some of those birthdays. Massive job to the folks out there that have had birthdays this past week and this week coming up. Happy birthday. It is your special day. Make it that. Do something special for yourself. Happy birthday to everybody out there. Quickly, Jay, I want to say, my brother, as you know, Kevin Moran out there, one of my closest family members. I love the man. His wife, Kathy's birthday was yesterday, and unfortunately, she was feeling a little under the weather. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow when my wife and I and Mace are going to join the Morans over at their place on the lake, across the lake from us, and have a couple of burgers, and hopefully Kathy will be feeling better. So happy birthday to Kathy out there, and everybody again, happy birthday from FFN, your family.
Amazing. Happy birthday out there to everyone celebrating a birthday this week. And I know I wanted to get out something there earlier because there was an issue in which I saw a few pictures of some hospitals that were coming up, and we want to definitely say congratulations very, very, very soon to a grandfather-to-be, Mr. Randy Davis. And that will be out there. So
I want to say, Jay, real quick, I'm glad you brought up Randy before we get to our awesome guest. I see he's laying in wait here, looking awesome. Randy, yesterday, did you see the picture of Randy jacked up?
Yeah.
With his cannon? Rev it up, Randy. Yeah, he looks so good. He looks like he's been hitting the juice, but it looks au naturel. My grandfather, he's looking buff. He's looking Triple H-like. Yeah, good job, Randy. Keep it up. Looking pretty good for a Graham. I hope I look that good.
And Definitely. He was in Nashville, so he came to the event and then drove back, and then so the baby's born. The baby's here.
Well, he looks like he ran back.
Not yet, but he's at the hospital. He went to Womack, and then they moved to the other hospital there in town. I forgot the name of it, but definitely better.
Congratulations. Yeah. Definitely congratulations to the whole family. What a joyous occasion. Awesome.
Yes. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into our next hour here with our great guest at this time. He is the founder of the Sky is the Limit Foundation, and that is Mr. Christopher Emmanuel. Great to see you on, brother.
Likewise. How everybody doing?
Doing fantastic.
Mr. Emmanuel Budvito. Yeah, so do you, brother. And we didn't get a chance to speak before the show, but I know we'll speak after, and obviously we're speaking right now. So, again, thanks for coming on and joining us. Definitely, you have an awesome story. It's an honor to have you on. Let's roll, Jay.
Yeah.
It's an honor and privilege to be on here. And, to see everybody coming together, bring awareness to the cause. I mean, whether you're black, you're white, you're Asian, if we can't come together for the sake of our kids, you guys, I mean, what can we
Right,
come together for?
right. And I can feel it right now too, Chris. As you said, color doesn't matter. I can feel the love. That's all it is. It's the empowerment. It's the strength. All of us. And the establishment too wants to see blacks fighting whites and women fighting men. They want all that infighting because it distracts from the actual bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've used that for too long. Okay.
Right.
They've had for too long about blacks, period. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't even get me preaching.
Yes, and I want to be able to get into your story just a little bit, because obviously this is a lot of the things that we go through are all entangled into your story. It's very all encompassing, and even some of the things that people wouldn't even imagine that people could go through, you have dealt through, and you've been through the fire and you've come out on the other side, brother. So I applaud you. You've done a fantastic job. But definitely let's get into your story a little bit, if you would.
All right, absolutely, man. And again, my name is Christopher Emmanuel. I'm the founder and executive director of Sky is the Limit Foundation, and we educate and empower fathers the importance of being proactive and involved in their child's life, and also the benefits of registering with a state responsible father registry. The ultimate goal is to create father practitioners, right, that can advocate on behalf of our community's issues pertaining to child custody. Because as you know, some cases don't require an attorney, and I feel it's important for us to be able to identify that so they can go in court and represent themselves pro se. And in the event they need an attorney, they have the resources and the knowledge to pursue an attorney, and they can ask the appropriate questions. Because as you know, attorneys all about money. They all rub elbows, and it is extremely, extremely challenging to find father-friendly attorneys. But how I actually got into, being a father practitioner and a father's advocate, just bringing awareness to these situations. My daughter was involved in an unethical and predatory adoption, a form of human trafficking. Me and the biological mother, we met in 2012 at a manufacturing company, and we were friends and we became lovers. There wasn't anything we didn't discuss, pros and cons. I would encourage her to allow me to meet her family. There was always an excuse. She met my entire family. I provided for her financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Unfortunately, the parents didn't approve of our relationship, and they coerced her to, sell our daughter into adoption. I went and I attended every prenatal doctor appointment. I planned for her to move in. The time when she didn't want to, the time when she said that, she was sick and she couldn't move in, I honestly felt like it was an excuse at that time. And when I couldn't go to the prenatal doctor's appointment, I then, started talking amongst my family and my friends and my half sister, my concerns and my worries. And we came up with Responsible Father Registry. And what that does is, for any father, or if anyone that doesn't know about it, is for any father to feel they have fathered a child or about to father a child. It requires they be notified in the event the baby is put up for adoption or if a father's rights are being terminated. Father registry is in 33 out of 50 states, and each state carries a different criteria. For example, in the state of South Carolina, it's an online database. All it simply asks is for your name, the mother name, the conception date, and when the baby's due date, and it gives you a confirmation number. States like Texas, the Texas fraternity, it requires for you to know absolutely everything about the biological mother. It's something, their social security number and their driver's license number.
Wow.
In the state of Utah, you actually have to qualify to be on the father registry. It costs up to $45,000 in attorney fees. The downfall about the registry is, it was never created to benefit fathers. It was actually created to secure adoption. And it's a loophole, these attorneys use to, steal these children. But I registered, long story short. And if I didn't register, I would have never been legally obligated to be notified about the unethical and predatory adoption practices. And even though I registered, I still faced structural impediments. I had to prove myself for what the mother was given by default. On top of that, I was served with an improper notice of adoption proceedings, stating that I had 30 days to contest the adoption. But in reality, under the law, under the statute, I had 10 days to contest the adoption. And I was served on the ninth day out of 10 days. So if I would have waited to the second business day, I wouldn't be telling you the story today. in order for a child to leave the state, you have to clear what they call the ICPC, Interstate Compact for Placement of Children, to go state to state.
Right.
In the state of South Carolina, there's a law, 63-9-60, that labels biracial children as handicapped.
Right.
And the courts, what they call unusual and exceptional circumstances, to send the children, state to state.
Yeah. And I want to interrupt you just for a second, because we got some people saying that your volume's a little bit low. So I don't know if you can turn that volume up just a little bit.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Much better.
Yeah, it's much better. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. But just to recap, in order for a child to leave the state, the courts would grant what they call unusual and exceptional circumstances. A child has to have some type of mental, physical, or an emotional disability. In my daughter's case, it was her mixed race. And that was the loophole for them to steal and sell my daughter. My daughter was never legally adopted. They stole my daughter. Well, I fought for it. I proved that I could financially take care of my child. I proved that I was obviously healthy. I proved that I can provide a safe and healthy environment for my child. Most importantly, I proved the amount of deceit and racism exhibited by the biological mother and her family. I had to wait 6 months. 6 months. Once I got physical custody of my daughter, because she still had the opportunity to fight me. And I didn't understand, because she had already signed her rights over. By the grace of God, those 6 months passed. I mean, the longest 6 months of my life. But she came back in and signed her rights over again, and I terminated her rights, TPR, January 2015. And through these lessons, I've taken on this role of being victorious. So I'm speaking from the other side, but it's very challenging. And it's very painful. But, one of the things that I realized is that, everything I ever asked God for was on the other side of the pain, and I just had to embrace it. My family was there. As you know, you may see it on my social media, Team Scholar. Everybody came together from all demographics to bring awareness to the situation. And that's what ultimately, helped me be more than successful, and as well as registering with the Responsible Father Registry. So here we are, bringing awareness to the situation.
So,
yeah, Chris, I want to say, Jay, quickly, I think that's a great point too, because a lot of times, if you understand it, embrace the struggle. Because as you said, Chris, that from that pain will come great joy most of the time if you can stay focused on that prize and focus on the finish, and know in your heart, without a doubt, I know without even knowing you, Chris, that you knew what the outcome would be in your heart. You were hyper-focused, even though there was worry. You stayed focused. You knew you did what was right. And eventually, things come out like this the way they should. And sometimes along the way, there's times where you go, wow, I can't, this isn't going right. But you just got to hang in there, embrace the struggle for what it is, because it's going to make you so much stronger. And honestly, you're bragging rights. It's something to be proud of, that you overcame that you did the impossible. Damn right I did. And I did it because of love. I did it, and I defeated that hate with my love, no matter what. All those months of crying, of hurting, of feeling sick and worrying. And now look, the ultimate joy, and we have you on here, and we couldn't be more blessed.
Absolutely. It's a brotherhood. It's a family.
Absolutely.
So let me get something right. So you were saying, did I hear you say that you made up the registry, or did you find out that there was a registry?
So that's a great question. So when she got really distant and I couldn't go to the prenatal doctor's appointment, I was talking to my family, what's going on. And we actually all came up with the Responsible Father Registry, and I registered. I didn't mention this, but I had a diaper bash. She didn't want to have a baby shower. I'm like, well, what woman doesn't want to have a baby shower? I'm having a diaper bash. I'm celebrating the life of my child, bringing a new spirit in this world. And when she didn't show up to that, you guys, I had to register. I wanted to ensure that I could be proactive and involved in my child's life. Yes.
So that would tell you guys, if you throw a diaper bash for your significant other that's going to have a baby with you, there might be some indications you need to register.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've never heard of a dad doing that before.
Well, that's really what you've done, Chris, is really groundbreaking. I mean, you've really smashed the concrete in terms of like really establishing this and really assisting a lot of people with what you've done here.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on That's just absolutely asinine. And my point of view is, you talked about how there was children with disabilities that would qualify under this, and then that would make them as an adoption candidate.
Right.
So biracial, evidently
I'm still shaking my head over that, Jay.
Evidently, biracial now is being a disability. That makes no sense.
It's an old South Carolina law. So
it's really nauseatingly embarrassing that's still a thing.
South Carolina is known as the Mecca of adoption. So that means that everybody from all over the world finalizes adoptions in the state of South Carolina. Let me give you an example. So the law assumes that every father, if you feel you're about to have a child, you're what you call a putative father. You have to register, right? So let's say the biological mother decides to move to Utah, or no, better yet, North Dakota, where there isn't a father registry. You're supposed to register, but you can't, right?
Right.
So what they do is they say, children are born in different venues, and they put an ad in the newspaper. The father isn't in that venue, right? So how's the father going to be able to fight? And this is the loophole as to how they steal children from all over the world. All over the world.
Yeah, this is a major problem that you're bringing to the forefront here, because we could have these issues to where you really at the, let's say you and your girlfriend, right, all the way up until the 9th month, you're going to all of these doctor's appointments, everything, you're doing everything you can do to be a dad. And you, let's just say, for instance, you've even popped the question and you guys are about to be married, but she's about to have the baby. She wants to have the baby first. And she decides at the last second, I want to give the baby up for adoption. I'm going to move to a completely different state. Guess what? You got no rights if you did not put it in the registry.
Right. And that's why it's imperative. These conversations are important. Conversations help us bring solutions to the problem. Why we have to fight for a national father registry, father registry. And that's one of the things we're doing here in South Carolina and with Sky's Limit Foundation.
I completely agree with you 100%, because the thing that I got to look at here is, okay, if that's the case, and we've got to register as dads to be dads and say, hey, yes, I want to partake in my child's life, why shouldn't every single man from now on, if their girlfriend gets pregnant, register?
Absolutely.
It could save you in the long run. And by you registering, the issue is that no matter what happens, you're protected, because you're saying, I want to be in my child's life. So officially you're saying, hey, I want to participate in my child's life. I want to be a part of my child's life, not letting the court decide, are you a fit parent or not? Well, no, I've assessed what my rights are by signing on this registry right here.
So let me add to that. So registering doesn't give you custody, because you still have to prove yourself. Right. However, it gives you a fighting opportunity. So there are steps that fathers must take in order to be constitutionally protected as a parent. It is a constitutionally protected right to be the parent, but you have to take certain steps in order for it to be protected. Whether it's opening up a bank account for your child, whether it's registering. In the event the mother moves, you have the account number, you have the information, whether it's just driver's license number, whether it's her social security number. We have to be proactive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But even deeper than that, one thing that I really know, like, women are very powerful. I'm sorry, what's your name again, man?
Neely,
you are very powerful. Like, the first thing we hear is a woman's voice, right? So instead of even going to the system, if we just, take care of our kids together, there will be no need to even be in the system. Like, we don't need the system to help raise our kids. This is between me and you. You know what I mean? This is the best interest of the child. Whatever you do is what you do. I'm here. We're here for the child. You know what I mean? And that's the answer. Us collectively communicating, but even deeper than communication, communicating effectively, the importance of us being together for the sake of our child.
And you're talking to a mom, actually, and I'll talk to you after the show on a personal level about this, but you're talking to a mom who actually has been fighting for her daughter in South Carolina since 2010. And I will talk to you later on about everything because mine's a pretty big deal. And I'm glad to have you on tonight and connect. You see how God works. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I live by. That's how, I'm a victim of South Carolina courts. But that's what I wanted to ask. I did have a question. So what you're saying is you have to actually register, because this is important for me to even know. Well, I'd like to know about it, personally. So what you're saying is in South Carolina, the dad has to register before the baby is born, if the baby is being born in South Carolina.
Absolutely. And if the baby moves to another state? What
if the baby's being born in another state, like let's say Georgia, the baby's born in Georgia, but the dad lives in South Carolina, and then it gets brought into the South Carolina courts. Does the dad still have to register?
Yeah, the dad has to register wherever the mother goes. So in that particular case, you have to register in Georgia and South Carolina. The challenging part, I would say, is it's a paper form in Georgia. So you actually have to go down to Vital Records in Georgia to file on the Responsible Father Registry, and it's a $9 fee. In South Carolina, it's free. It's an online database. So it goes to education. We have to know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
But if anybody have any questions in reference to which states have the Responsible Father Registry, they can go to skyisthelimitfoundation.org. And again, that's skyisthelimitfoundation.org. And we have a list of all the states and the links that have the Responsible Father Registry.
Right. And I think that's a great thing.
Because a lot of dads do moms read it? No, moms don't read it. It's just dads. So a lot of dads don't know this. You know what I'm saying? It's like they make so many loopholes in the law involving family court. It's human trafficking at its finest. But again, I'll talk to you later. Tell you know what I'm saying, where I'm at with fighting human trafficking, because that's what it is.
The most money is in family court.
Yeah.
The most money is in family court. The court benefits off of fatherlessness. The court benefits off of these children at the end of the day. It's just as simple as that.
Right.
And it affects moms, dads, you know what I'm saying? And see,
everybody.
Me being a mom fighting South Carolina, South Carolina was supposed to be the Bible Belt state. I was born in Savannah, Georgia, but that's how, and I, being a victim, I was looked at like, Neely, you had to have done something wrong. It was so hard for me, especially being in South Carolina. Like, it was even double hard on me. And everyone was like, you had to have done something wrong. No, and trying to explain it, what happened.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of injustice going on, and I don't think it's just dads. I think it's moms as well. But obviously, that national registry for guys is an opportunity. It's a great opportunity for you to protect your rights, because at least you've put out there to the court, hey, look, when we go into family court, I'm going to know that I have asserted that, hey, I want it to be in my child's life. Whereas if you don't put your name on that registry and you walk into court, you probably don't have a fighting chance a lot of the time.
You're revoking your rights. You're revoking it. You don't even want your rights. Mm-hmm. That's where, you can get stepped on. You know what I mean? It's easy to outmaneuver. It's easy to be outmaneuvered if you don't register on the Responsible Father Registry as unwed fathers. Now, when it comes to mothers, I'm nothing against mothers now, but mothers are given the opportunity to raise their child. You know what I mean? As a man, you have to prove, that human right. You know what I mean? When you look at it holistically, the system has driven a wedge in between it. You know what I mean?
And my problem wasn't with the dad, it was with the grandma, but the dad was still kind of involved, but his mom and him were working together. So
yeah. It becomes a big nightmare. And we've kind of discussed these other things on the side, and we'll get into those probably in a different show. But on this particular issue, we're definitely saying register. It is vitally important, number one, that you register if you have that registry in your state. Second off, we need a national registry, so this does not happen again. And in some of these cases, if we had a national registry, Chris, do you think that possibly if we had this national registry, we could prevent some of these issues from happening where we have a mother who's in the same situation, instead she moves to a different country.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we could prevent some of this. And I know, some of the people out there that have dealt with that even, where the mother has moved to a different country. She was pregnant at the time. And unfortunately, the father doesn't have any rights, never has had any rights because the mother just moved out of the country. And I don't say that lightly because obviously we have a lot of women out there that are going through the struggle as well. I want to be very careful and mindful of that. But at the same point in time, as you said, when we're getting into some of these things, fathers have to assert their right to their child instead of being perceived as a natural 50-50 custody. And unfortunately, it's like they have to assert their right to be a parent, because what happens in court, what they say is your acquiescence gives consent, or your silence gives consent. And unfortunately, we have some of these things. I want to ask you definitely a little bit more about Sky is the Limit Foundation, some of the things you're doing out there for the state of South Carolina. Besides the registry, are you involved in other things out there and different? I know you're all over the place, all over different events. You're all over the place doing public speaking.
With Mark, I was in DC as well, connecting with everybody, man. It was an awesome time. I love being around like-minded people. As far as what we have going on with the foundation, we do a lot of tutoring with a particular focus on our kids. And what I realized that, when we bring the kids in, right, when we have the focus on the kids, even though you have the kids sometime, if you don't have the parents, you still don't have the kids. But as what we realized, bringing the kids in, more dads want to get involved. And not only do they want to be involved, they want to be involved in the process. Because as a dad, dads not only take care of their kids, they take care of other people's kids and their community. So we are redefining what it means to be a family, but a village, taking care of each other. We actually have an initiative here. I just started June the 7th called Daddy's Diapers. It's called Daddy's Diapers. So, obviously I had a diaper bash. A lot of dads find their backs financially against the wall. And after all these court fees, they don't have anything to really be able to give, right? They're giving it all to the court. Or some dads never been shown how to provide for their kids. Or some dads are providing to the best of their abilities, right? And they just need a little help. So with Daddy's Diapers, we're redefining again what it means to be, a village as a support. Like you're not by yourself. We're here to help you. So at the end of the month, we're going to give these diapers, all the necessities, wipes, baby lotion, baby wash to the dads to give to their kids. And it's going to stimulate responsibility. It's going to encourage them to be proactive and involved, but also to give back, man. We actually took the kids to see Black Panther. We took 140 kids to see Black Panther. We had all the dads there as well. Dialogue with it. And like I say, the whole goal is to create father practitioners, and we have fun while we're doing it, and we're able to have conversations. It's really authentic and it's really organic. And then, you never know when your story can affect somebody. You know what I mean? So iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man, and we're just holding each other accountable out here with the foundation. We're truly a family.
Yeah, I think that needs to happen. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, Chris. Hey, Jay, as our awesome guest was speaking, I was thinking about Dr. Tori, because when we had her on, she talked about that too, and I think it's awesome, Chris, because you both talk about the importance of family. A lot of people don't think of that too. A lot of us were never taught how to have healthy relationships, how to function as a unit, how to function as a man, how to be a man, how to be a good husband, how to be a good father, how to be a good wife, mother, to function in a very healthy, normal way. And at its core, that's what you really have to start with, because the rest means nothing until you can teach people how to have as you said, healthy dialogue, how to respect each other, how to not let their emotions get the best of them. I talk to people all the time about not reacting, learning how to control things and letting certain things go. And I think that's great, Chris, to hear you speak about that at its core. And as you said, letting things kind of just happen organically and let things come when they're comfortable and very naturally. It's awesome. I didn't know you had met Mark Ludwig, Chris. I didn't know you. Wow. I haven't even met Mark yet. I've spoken to him a million times, and I'm jealous.
No, don't be. Man, we're family right here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I mean,
next year I'll definitely be there. Hell or high water, I'll be there.
Yeah, and I think with next year, I think we should be hearing Christopher Emmanuel maybe on that microphone giving a little bit of speech. I'd like to see that.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're an empowering guy, Chris. I'll give a shout out to my friend Brian Peasley out there in Maine. I know he's watching right now, and you're right up his alley. He's a very deep thinker, and I know he's watching right now, and I know he's smiling because he's like, wow, because I can already hear him. I get a lot of reception after the show. I get an influx. I know Jay does too of people reacting to the show. Some are close family members. I give a shout out to my BBC Nashville outside of Boston, all my brothers and sisters down there. So I get a lot of reaction, and so I know Brian's one of them. I've known since I was a young kid, and he'll definitely be hitting me up saying, "Oh, I knew you knew I'd love him." Absolutely.
Right, and I'm going to touch on a little bit of another point because obviously it's ultra important because if you study the history of what has transpired and what has gone on with fathers' rights and with mothers' rights and all the different things that are and all of the aspects that come into play. A big issue, obviously, has been that this originated a lot of the times through the African American community, where African American fathers were taken away from their children, and then the children grow up, and then they go into the penal system because they don't have any structure, and a lot of the issues take place. There's a lot culturally that we can learn from the African American community as Caucasians that go through this, because the African American community has dealt with this for years, and it's time for us to start maybe listening a little bit to what the wisdom that can come from that, the experience, the knowledge that they can pass on.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when you take a father out of the household, it leaves family vulnerable. And ultimately, instinctively, we're tribal people, and we go into, or you may see society showing where kids go into gangs because it's a family, it's family oriented. They're actually originated to protect the community. And, it got redefined with the social media and, the television platform. I mean, it's so powerful, but, we have to really pay attention to what dads are doing. We have to speak on what dads are doing. There's no difference. And that opportunity and that dialogue, again, like you said, it will bring awareness to the situation and the importance of us really just coming together. But it's in the process, man. It's already started.
Yes.
So I'm super excited. I'm uber excited. This change is here. We are the change.
Yes. Right.
We're going to be every county and state nationwide will follow in unification. This is the time to be alive. So I love these type of conversations.
Absolutely, my friend. Hey, it's funny because before you came on, we were saying that too. We said the time isn't coming; it's here. Men and women out there, it's here. We're in the middle of it, and I couldn't agree more, Chris. I'm just giddy to be alive. I'm excited. I feel honored to be living through this with people like you and Jay and Neely and everybody out there. Mr. Mark Ludwig, who we mentioned earlier. We love you, and everybody out there.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people doing a lot of things, and it's the thing is now we're starting to be able to cross those boundaries that we once did not. Where we almost said, okay, well, the African American community is doing this, and the Caucasian community is doing this, and the Asian American community is doing this, and the Native Americans are doing this, and now we're all coming together, and it's all structured to where we're saying the same exact things that everybody else has been saying. Now it's time to unify the mothers and the fathers. And don't get me wrong, if you've gone through a domestic violence situation, we understand that. We are absolutely emotionally tied to that. We understand that. We're with you. But at the same point in time, domestic violence people don't need to be going against people that are fighting for parental rights. Because if you've gone through a domestic violence situation, that father or that mother in that domestic violence situation should be found to be unfit and go to a criminal court. That's where that's adjudicated, not here within the family court system. So go to the right adjudication. Don't go into the other ones. And And in those issues that transpire, we have two different opponents in this. Domestic violence, which should be much more understanding, hopefully, if we can reach them, and the judges and the attorneys. We're going against judges and attorneys, and we're doing it with no money, and they're doing it with millions of dollars. That ought to tell you something.
And agencies, individual agencies. We're dealing with so many factors here. And what I think is so great is by everybody coming together, what we learn is like how basically we're figuring it out. We're getting smarter than they are. They don't want us to figure the people that are, changing legislation to benefit themselves and to hurt the family. They don't want us all to figure this out. They don't want us to know, what happened to Christopher and how he's using it to better, and what happened to Neely and what she's doing it to better, what happened, to Jay. And
And we're unraveling that. You're right. We are unraveling that. And what Christopher is doing is outstanding and amazing. And I definitely want to give you a plug out there in our last part of the segment here, because we're going to move on. But we definitely want to thank you for your time, and we want to give you an opportunity to plug your foundation and the things that you've got going on out there.
Absolutely. Everybody can follow us at skyislimitfoundation.org. That's our website. On our social media platform, it's Sky is the Limit Foundation on Facebook and Instagram, and it's Mr. Father Registry on Twitter. So again, it's skyislimitfoundation.org. Sky is the Limit Foundation, my Facebook and Instagram, and Mr. Father Registry on Twitter. And again, one other thing, we got another initiative going on with No Deadbeat Dads, and it's just great. It's a narrative, it's a conversation starter. And the whole goal is to let people know that no, there are no deadbeat dads. We're not deadbeat dads. We're changing that narrative. But
that's right.
Us doing it together.
I heard a good one, Chris. We're not deadbeat dads. We're beat dead dads. We're dads that are beat up and that are sick of it. Mr. Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll make it a directive, Jay, tonight. From now on, what we'll do is have Neely write down the guests that we have their websites. And after every show, she'll put up their websites of who the guests we had on, so people have a resource to go on the Fark Normal page and go on and click on those sites. We'll do the same for you, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you again. Been an absolute pleasure. Keep it up, brother. Keep fighting. Never give up. Never stop, no matter what they say.
Yes, the only way we won't be a part of our kids' life is if we don't want to be a part of our kids' life.
That's right.
It's not over till you say it's over. And I didn't hear a bell.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And I'll reach out to you after the show. Definitely, we always try and get as many people as we can from the different organizations on our board of directors, so that way we have a good influx of what is going on within the movement and different events and opportunities that you may have out there within your foundation that we can broadcast throughout. So definitely I will get with you after the show. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
Stay safe.
Definitely a great guest in our second hour, Mr. Christopher Emmanuel. Definitely check him out. The Sky is the Limit Foundation. Great stuff that he's doing.
Absolutely, Jay. Really phenomenal, empowering guy. There's certain people that we have on, and Neely will see this too. The more and more she's on with us, and the more we do it, we see it too. Certain people bring an energy that is actually tangible almost. It's almost palpable. And he's one of them. And if you're open to that and you allow, again, it's, what do we say, right? You have a glass, fill it with positive. So dump out that negative and allow somebody like Chris Emmanuel in, who's very self-aware, it seems. And he seems like he's very aware of other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bud kind of froze on us, but we'll get that taken care of here very, very shortly. But he's absolutely right. I mean, there's just an energy with Chris that has to do with working and functioning and trying to get take the emotional tie out of it and make it much more of an empowerment process. And he's doing that great. And it looks like Bud, you're stuck on mute for some reason. There you go. Now you're back. You're good.
Looks like I lost audio, Jay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. I don't know if you can still hear me, but yeah, sometimes whenever we have any kind of a little functionality here problem.
There we go, Jay.
There we go. All right.
I'm good now. Little technical difficulties. I don't know what happened there, but if you guys can still hear me, I'm good to go.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Definitely good.
He taught me something. He taught me something, and look how long I've been in this fight in South Carolina. You see them. So it's so important that we're all connected, so we can all keep on learning and expanding our knowledge.
Right, and we always have to do that, obviously, because there's so many different things that we don't all know, and that's why we need to touch base with every single person in this movement. Like we were saying earlier, when you go to some of these events, it's a very, very imperative that you go to some of these events, you make some contacts. Like I said, I mean, I went to DC. I've got this card. There's all kinds of cards in here that have to do with different people. And with each particular card, I could be talking about 100 people, 80 people, whatever it is. I could be talking 5,000 people. So it's imperative that you're reaching out with these different organizations that are out there and the different events that they've got going on. So you're building that foundation. Because not only are you creating a contact, but you're learning something new that you didn't know before. And I've learned something new all the time from Kirk's Law Corner. I've learned something new all the time from Randy Davis, and learned something new all the time from Neil Shelton and Thomas Fiddler, and the list goes on. Melissa Isaac. I learned something new all the time that's going on in this movement, and trust me, I dig into the law all the time. So if I'm learning something new, you definitely can learn something new. Are you still there, bud? I think he's back to having some technical difficulties here with his audio. He made his all right, we may lose him. But Neely, definitely great guests in our first hour with Bob White. Definitely in the second hour, great guest with Christopher Emmanuel. And yeah, and just fantastic. I want to know definitely what you think on some of the issues with Bob. Let's talk about that one first. What, Bob?
I think Bob sounds like a very, very good candidate for governor. I've done a little bit of research. I think there's 12 candidates running for governor right now, or running for the Republican primary. Let me get my notes real quick because I had made notes about it. I don't even know what I'm doing with it. But anyways, there is 12, and I cannot express how important it is to actually get out there and decide or look at and get knowledgeable about the candidates that are running. People don't know. You go to the ballot. If you want change, we need to get people in the office, these offices that won't change too, that care about the American person. And it's so important. And I think that, most Americans, they, over time, they really haven't done that. They'll vote for the president, they'll do something like that, but a big election, but these small elections matter.
Right.
And, so yeah, I all of our guests go out, to, I think what was his website? It was Bob for.
Yeah, I think it was here. I didn't get that down, but we'll definitely get that in there. I believe it was Bob for governor, or Bob for the state of Florida. I'll definitely write that down and get that out to everyone. Just the thing for me is, if a candidate comes to you and says that he is dealing with or has dealt with this in the past with the family courts, that they're going to want to change it for themselves. So obviously, or change it for their kids so that they don't have to go through the same struggles that they went through. Some of those people who are affected by these things, or the issue is that we have to reach out more. We have to reach out more because of the fact that People don't understand that their Social Security is being robbed from them every single day. Every single time that you get a paycheck and you're paying on that paycheck and you're paying Social Security, it's being robbed. You are being robbed blind. And you need to understand right now, if you are going through this Title 4D, it's taking money out of your Social Security and it's giving money to those who are just too lazy out there, that are on welfare, who have 10 kids and want to pop out another one, but yet want money to go to the club every single weekend. So you've got to be very mindful of what's going on. You've got to be very, very mindful. And the other thing is that Title 4D benefit is going out there and it's paying for the same system that takes care of alienating you from your child every single day. I want to say that there were up to 4,000 cases now, 4,000 cases a day in which one side wins custody and the other side does not in a family court system. 4,000. That means more than 4,000 children are going to bed tonight without a mother or father for the very first time in their house.
Unacceptable, Jay.
It makes me really sad.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that we have to do something about. And we've got to do it by coming together, building coalitions, building friendships, and trying to get those things taken care of, just like Americans for Equal Share Parenting and a lot of the others definitely do out there. Bud Vino, are you back in, brother?
Yeah, Jay, you read me okay now?
Yes,
Good.
I am.
I'll tell people out there, please, people. I get a lot of people. I usually am good about shutting off certain things. Sometimes people, while they're listening, try to call me.
Yes.
Sometimes things happen. I'll be running off a different system probably by next week, Jay, so this won't happen again. So, yeah, with the way the show's going, too, it buckles the systems that I have now. And I give a shout-out to my brother, John Mondu, who came and saw me about a week and a half ago. It was awesome, as you know, Jay. Surprise visit. But he's a technical guy, and he always gives me, after the shows, he says, bud, we got to get you a different setup here so you're not having those issues. So, John, it's on its way. I love you, my BBC brother.
Awesome stuff. So definitely a great guest in our first half that we talked about, Bob White, why you should go out there and you should vote for a political candidate, obviously, that has dealt with some of the system or knows some of the system or is willing to change the system for the children out there. We didn't get much into CPS for them. We didn't have a whole lot of time to do that, but we definitely will in the future.
Well, remember, Jay, we're going to hold him to his word.
Mm-hmm.
He'd love to come back on. So, again, I know when we have more time with him, as you said, Jay, too, where he can sit down. It was just a little bit of a taste, a little appetizer of things to come.
Yes. And definitely in the second hour, Christopher Emmanuel did an outstanding job. Definitely his story is heart-wrenching if you get out there. And let me tell you something. His story has been out there on ABC News. His story has been out there on CNN. His story has been out there in the New York Times. So it's happening, folks. The stories are getting out there. We just have to keep the pressure on. Keep it on. And it's going to work. We just got to keep that pressure on all the time. Absolutely. All right. So definitely we're going to get into some amazing, well, I believe, we've got that taken care of. We're going to go ahead and get into the shout outs just a little bit early tonight to give everybody a little bit of an adequate time here that I don't normally give for the shout outs. We normally get down to like the last 5 minutes of the show and we're trying to do shout outs real quick. So definitely want to give my big shout out here, and we're going to start out with Bud Vino.
Yo, it's the depressing part of the show, Jay, the last 10 minutes, but it's been absolutely incredible. One more time, the 12th of June, 2018. The power forward, Neely Petrie, thank you for joining us. Awesome first show in this role. And we use the word quite a bit tonight with our last guest, Mr. Emmanuel. It's going to happen very organically, very naturally. You're going to grow and blossom like a flower, like a rose in the sunlight with lots of water. Thank you, Neely, to Jay. our guests we had on tonight, to everybody out there, the mothers and fathers and the kiddos out there missing their moms and dads and or dads. Love you guys. Chins up. Thanks for all the emails. Keep them coming. Thanks for the support. As I said earlier, to my brother, Kevin Moran, his wife and family, I love you. Brian Peasley, John Mondu, my BBC, Aaron Himalaya Roberts, he's down in Beantown. I'll be seeing him soon. John Palazzo, all the men and women down at the BBC and outside of Beantown and in Beantown. All my family out there, my littlest bestest buddy Mason, and my wife Allison. Thank you so much for the Chinese. And my karma, Jay, is that I tried to sneak a little piece, and for half the show, I felt like there was a little piece of chicken that might be. And if you've seen me throughout the show, kind of, and I still haven't got it. I know it's there, but so there it is. There's still a lot of it. It was such a great show. I didn't really eat much of it, but I plan on it. Love you, baby. You're my heart, and even in death, we will never part. To my brother from another mother, we started this almost 2 years ago our way, and we're going to continue doing it our way. Pete, the real deal McNeil, he'll be back off that milk carton soon. I love you, everybody out there. Chins up. It ain't over till you say it's over. And Jay, I didn't hear no bell.
Oh, but he did hear a whip. Woo, all right. Bud Vino, definitely great stuff. Awesome. Neely, we're going to go ahead and get into your shout outs this evening.
Well, first shout out, I want to shout out to my Heavenly Father. God, thank you for everything that you do for me and continue to do for me each and every day. Shout out to the guests that were on the show. They're awesome. Shout out to the viewers that are watching right now. We're not here for us. We're not here for us. We were all led to this situation, even me being on the show, for a reason. And we're out here to help you. And we're out here to help your children. We love your children. We don't want them to have broken families. We don't want this to happen, to the next generation. Shout out to Donald Trump. His birthday's this week. And then he had this awesome summit where we're seeing history right now. This is such an exciting time to be alive. Shout out to my Far From Normal radio show family and the board of directors. We love you. And
All right.
My girl, sorry.
All right. So she's got the horse there. Definitely. We may have to change that down the line. Because evidently, Neely is going to be going and probably will be leaving Kentucky before long. So we'll have to change that to something else, obviously, because you're going to be doing some things with your case coming up very, very soon with Christopher Hallett. Chris, love you, brother. You do an amazing job working with Neely, obviously with emoluments and working with her, and we love you. And all of those out there who are behind the scenes working with us or working with the Far From Home radio show. We love you and we appreciate you. I know that I'm getting statistics from all kinds of different people all the time. I'm getting different stories, different information that's coming to me nonstop. I'm getting more contacts with different foundations. So that way, when we have an issue and we have somebody out and it just kind of happened this weekend, where we had somebody who was out in the state of California that needed a lot of help in an immediate way and was impacted, and the PAC stepped up. Thank you guys. Amazing. I will say this. We have so many people that go through this, man, and it is disheartening. It is. And you're going through this and you're at a place in this moment that you feel you will never dig out of. Let that empower you. Let that use that as motivation. Use that as a substance to say, you kicked me down, but I'm going to get back up. And when I get back up, you got to run. So let that use that as motivation. Don't use that as a situation that knocks you down and keeps you down. Because let me tell you, there's always a light. We always kind of describe this. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. What you do between now and then is what makes that light come closer and closer and closer. So keep fighting, keep doing all of the things out there. Much love, definitely, to Bob White taking the time coming on. Definitely much love to Christopher Emmanuel, Sky is the Limit. Awesome. Love that. Love that, and we'll definitely be working with him in the future. And I'm sure that we're going to be working with actually a documentary producer very, very soon. We'll be on the Far From Normal radio show. And when I say documentary producer, I'm talking huge. I'm talking huge. Because, yeah, it will blow your mind, honestly. And one of the documentary filmmakers that we will definitely be getting on as soon as we possibly can is Yahya McClain. So Yahya McClain out there, war, women in the regime, we're definitely going to be looking forward to getting him on the air and all that he has done in this movement and got out there and got the word out. He's done a radio show himself, former two-time world heavyweight champion of the world. It's imperative that we get somebody like that with the credentials that he has and the contacts that he has on the show. So we're definitely going to do that in the future. So you may hear some boxing stories if you're guys out there and you might like that, but you're going to hear the heart of a champion. You're going to hear somebody who really has been affected to where in D.C., when he showed up to D.C., he had to tell us he's a mile from his child and could not see his child. It was absolutely awful and atrocious, and it was very emotional, very touching, and it was great though that everybody was there for him in this time of need. So that's what it's all about. It's about rallying around each other, guys, because we can't do this alone in this fight. We've got to do it together. We've got to stop the nonsense that's going on in this movement. We have so many people backbiting each other all the time that we're not getting any work done. Let's get the work done. Let's get the work done. You can have your personal difference aside and not like somebody and still work with them. Put it aside. We've got work to do. Look at it this way. There are lots of people out there who don't like each other but work with each other every single day on an assembly line, but they get the job done. That's the point. And right now, we're an assembly line. We've got to put the assembly together. There are certain people that are good at the start, that are opening conversations. There's certain people that are good at doing the legwork behind the scenes and the research. There are certain people that are good at being vocal out there. There are certain people that are good at this and that. Find your niche. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing. And let's go from there, guys. Let's work together to get this done.
I got one more shout out from Laura Thompson.
Yeah, Laura. Yeah.
Yes, I would like to give a special shout out to Laura Thompson's son, Zachary David Edwin Thompson. He just turned 19 last Saturday, June 9th, and his mom would like to give him a very big shout out. Zachary is currently lifeguarding at Young Life in Challenge, California as a counselor and a lifeguard. In the fall, he is heading to Duke University to play for the Blue Devils and to study biomedical engineering. He is the reason that Laura became a mediator and has been in the family rights movement since 2004. So let's give a big out to Zachary.
Yeah, definitely a big shout out. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Zachary and Duke. Amazing. I didn't play for Duke. I played for Kearsarge, but we were called the Blue Devils. I played hockey. So big ups to Duke and good luck and awesome, Zachary. Happy birthday and good luck to you in the future.
Definitely happy birthday. Yeah, definitely happy birthday out there to Zachary. And I would say that if you have a birthday that you would like to share on the Far From Normal radio show, definitely send us a line to the Far From Normal radio show at gmail.com. We would be more than happy to read that live on the air for you. The biggest thing that we realize every week in this movement is to try and make you feel important, and to make how we do that is by doing our calendar of events and birthdays every week and mentioning the fact that you have a birthday. So if you have one, we try and mention that. try and make you feel upbeat and positive about that. So if you have a child out there that is celebrating a birthday, if you've got a child out there that's celebrating an anniversary, we'd love to announce it on the air and celebrate that with you. So definitely send us a line, the Far From Normal Radio Show at gmail.com, and we will be pleased to read that on the air. So definitely big shout outs to all of those. Big shout outs to the board of directors. Big shout outs to my FFN fam. Big shout outs to Peter McNeil, who will be back off the milk carton next week. Well, not next week, but soon. I'm putting a little teaser out there from New Jersey. Anyway, all right, brothers. So as we say every single week on the Far From Normal Radio Show, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless.
Yeah.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Ready to explore right up in the sky. I need you to listen